Morning, guys. Hope you're all well today. So we're going to move on from the poetry a little bit, just for a bit of variety. We're still in the blue anthology, okay, so you still need that, but we're going to move on and we're going to have a look at the non-fiction texts because we didn't cover them in massive detail in class, and it would be really nice to go over them. And also, a lot of them are just really, really great extracts. So it's just really, really useful because they're brilliant stories, and it's just great to practice your English skills. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, this is what I'm setting for you. Obviously, it's not scheduled yet. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk you through what you need to do, and I'm going to give you some help on task 2, which is the highlighting bit, because I'm going to highlight some examples for you. Okay, so your first job is to open up your anthology at page 20 and to read H is for hawk. Okay, so just pause the video, read that, and then come back. Okay. All right, so I'm going to assume that you've done that now and you've read it through, okay? So let me take you through the PowerPoint first of all, okay? So it's attached, so you should be able to find it and open it really easily. And it looks like this, so H is for hawk. Right, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to be highlighting examples of language and structure that describe either of the hawks. Now, from your reading, you'll have worked out that there are 2 hawks in this situation, okay? So the writer Helen Macdonald loses her father quite suddenly, and to help her deal with her grief, she adopts a goshawk. Okay, so the extract is basically she meets what she thinks is her hawk for the first time, but it turns out there's a bit of a mix-up, and it turns out the first one was actually not the bird she's adopting. It was the second one that was actually hers. But when she meets the second one, she realizes that she really doesn't like the second hawk and she much preferred the first one. And, you know, at the end, it's not quite resolved as to which hawk she's going to be able to take home. So there you go. So you just want examples of language and structure that describe either of the 2 hawks. Okay, so either of the hawks is fine. See if you can find 6 examples of language that describes the hawk and 6 examples of structural devices that describe the hawks. Do feel free to take photos of your highlighting and annotations and upload it onto Google Classroom so I can have a look over it. But you've all done lots of language and structure work in class, so I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. Then the next task is to answer the 3 quick questions. So I've put 15 quick questions because that's how long I'm suggesting you should spend on this task, okay? Because it should be quick, so don't spend hours and hours and hours agonizing over these 3 questions, okay? Now, just to note, each of the 3 questions links to certain lines in the text. And just make sure you pay attention to what the question is actually asking you to do. So, for example, number 1 wants you to select 2 words or phrases. So for that one, you're not writing P paragraphs. You're just literally picking out 2 words or phrases and writing them down. And similarly, in the second one, it says in your own words. So that means obviously no P paragraphs. You're not going to quote from the text. You are literally explaining in your own words what you think, okay? And then question 3, it says you may support your points with brief quotations. So yeah, that is going to be P paragraphs. So just follow the question. Okay, and then after that, you've got this grid. Okay, so you're just going to, hopefully I've sorted out the permissions so you can just copy and paste that and then fill that in. So that's what I'm hoping. You can just copy and paste it and fill that in. And that's just a little bit of language work. So you're just having a look around for any of the devices that are listed, writing the quote in the box, and then just writing a sentence or 2 about the effect. And then finally, if you get through all of that, because you're really on fire today, there's 2 questions on the last slide. So just choose one of the questions and then just write 2 P paragraphs in response, okay? So there you go, that's your tasks. Like I said, I'll take you through the second slide, which is the highlighting examples of language and structure, okay? So I'm going to use my little visualizer and we're just going to have a look at one section together. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this section. So it's line 11, so you might want to find it as well. So first of all, I'll just read it through for you, and then I'll show you how to do the highlighting, etc. So it says, another hinge untied, concentration, infinite caution, daylight irrigating the box, scratching talons, another thump, and another thump. The air turned syrupy slow, flecked with dust. The last few seconds before a battle, and with the last bow pulled free, he reached inside, and amidst a whirring, chaotic clatter of wings and feet and talons, and a high-pitched twittering, and it's all happening at once, the man pulls an enormous hawk out of the box, and in a strange coincidence of world and deed, a great flood of sunlight drenches us, and everything is brilliance and fury. The hawk's wings, barred and beating, the sharp fingers of her dark-tipped primaries cutting the air, her feathers raised like the scattered quills of a fretful porpentine. 2 enormous eyes. My heart jumps sideways. She's a conjuring trick, a reptile, a fallen angel, a griffin from the pages of an illuminated bestiary. Something bright and distant, like gold falling through water, a broken marionette of wings, legs, and light-splashed feathers. She's wearing jesses, and the man holds them. For one awful long moment she is hanging, head downward, wings open like a turkey in a butcher's shop. Only her head is turned right way up, and she is seeing more than she's ever seen before in her whole short life. Her world was an aviary, no larger than a living room. Then it was a box, but now it is this, and she can see everything. The point source glitter on the waves, a diving cormorant 100 years out, pigment flakes under wax on the lines of parked cars, far hills and the heather on them, and miles of sky where the sun spreads on dust and water and illegible things moving in it that are white scrapes of gulls. Everything startling and new stamped on her entirely astonished brain. So there you go, there's the section, a wonderful section, a wonderful description of the first hawk, and you can just really feel how impressed she finds this hawk and how awesome she thinks it is. So you're going to need some colours. Weirdly enough, I found that I've actually got some felt tips at home. I didn't realise I had these, so I'm using felt tips instead of highlighters. But so blue, well, it looks slightly purpley in this light, is my structure colour, and the red is the language. Okay, so the first thing is I just want to draw your attention to, and I'm just going to do one example of each, the short sentences that we've got at the start here. Okay, so feel free to highlight those. There are a number. I've just highlighted those two, but you can see also it continues down here, and we've got and another thump. So a series of short sentences at the start there. So we need to link this to what's going on in the extract. Okay, so at this point in the previous paragraph, they're looking at the boxes where the hawks are held, and we learn that this hawk has got the hood off, and he frowns, looks a bit concerned, and then we know that in this paragraph here, line 11, we're going to meet the hawk. Okay, so these short sentences are designed to create tension. Okay, create that really like heart-stopping tension, because we're waiting to meet this hawk. And what we're getting is short, little tiny bits of information about how the two are feeling. So they're concentrating. So obviously shows that this task is difficult, or, they need to pay a lot of attention to it. It's complex. It's, there's a lot of concern. Then it says infinite caution. I mean, I love the word infinite because it sounds so parental, doesn't it? It really sounds like both of them really care about this hawk, and they're just going to work as hard as they possibly can for as long as they need to really make sure this hawk is safe. So we understand a little bit about their relationship to this hawk. And then the short sentences continue down here. And I just love this example because then we've got this lovely noise. Okay, so we've got this lovely onomatopoeia, which is a language point, but we're working on structure. And it just says, and another thump. And it just builds so much tension, doesn't it? Because before seeing this hawk, we get a sense of the sounds that it's making, and it makes it sound really strong, doesn't it? Because it's like banging against the box. Yeah, so obviously lots of ideas there, but just because you don't have a lot of room in terms of your annotations, you just want to make a note of what the effect is, just as a reminder to help you recap. Okay, so I'm just going to write tension, but I'm also going to write what device it is that I've picked out here. So I'm just going to write short sentences. Okay, I'm trying to be especially neat at the moment so you can all read this. Okay, all right, so that's my structure points, that's my blue. So obviously I'd carry on through the extract and I'd find 5 other examples, because you're finding 6 in total, aren't you? And I'm going to move over to the language at the moment. Okay, so there's lots of really lovely devices. There's lots of imagery in here. So There's some lovely similes and some lovely metaphors as well, so have a look out for those. But I think my favourite one is this simile here. So something bright and distant, like gold falling through water. And like I said, that's a simile, isn't it? Because of this keyword like. So similes are a comparison using as or like, aren't they? So I'm just going to write simile in the space here, just to remind myself exactly what it is. And we need to think about what that means then. So this is describing the hawk. So the hawk is bright, but it feels distant to her, probably because it's the first time she's met this hawk and she doesn't have much of a relationship with it yet. And I'm sure many of us are quite unfamiliar with a number of different types of animals, though we might feel more comfortable if it was a dog or a cat, I suppose. But, this creature, this animal feels very distant from her life and our lives and the way that we exist today. And then it's compared with this wonderful imagery, so like gold falling through water. So just take a moment, just try to imagine what that would look like if you could see gold falling through water. And then just think about your responses to that. I mean, it's obviously a very impressive and obviously a very beautiful image, something that's very unusual and unique. I can't think of a time when I would ever have seen gold falling through water. And all of these ideas are linked to this hawk. So this hawk is unique and special and beautiful and impressive and unusual. But I think particularly the word gold is important because gold is obviously very valuable. And I think that relates really strongly to this hawk because the hawk is, hawks are beautiful, amazing animals who are valuable in themselves. But also I think that because she is looking for a hawk herself, the writer, to help her get over this grief, the hawk may become very valuable to her because, she's hoping that this hawk will help her, kind of deal with her grief. So, yeah, so lots of ideas there. But again, we just want to sum it up really briefly. And I'm just going to sum up this idea connected to gold and just put the word valuable underneath simile there, just to remind myself what it is that I would want to say about that. Okay. Right. Okay, then, guys, I think that's everything. Hopefully you should be able to now get on and annotate your texts and then use the PowerPoint to answer the questions that you've got there. Remember, any problems at all, please just contact me. You can contact me on email, but the Google Hangout chat thing is quite easy to use as well. So if you want to start a chat and just say hello and ask me any questions, that would be absolutely fine. Okay. And also don't forget to upload any of the work that you've done onto Google Classroom at the end of the lesson or by 6 o'clock today, so that I can mark that for you. Okay. All right. Thanks very much. See you later.